How's it going, guys? I'm KTO, and part of my voice, I'm having a bit of problems with allergies and sickness, but let's get into this video. We are discussing the teams who will bounce back to relevance this season. So my definition of bouncing back for this video really depends on the team. If they were around the 5 to 6 win mark last season, bouncing back would mean they're probably a playoff team or pretty close to it. And if they were horrible, 3 wins or less, then bouncing back is just showing major progress. Maybe adding at least 4 or even more wins to last year's total. So an honorable mention is San Francisco. This is an honorable mention because I don't think they'll bounce back this season, but I really like what this team has done. Not going into a ton of detail, but I think this team had the best draft of all teams in the NFL, and they have a bright future with my favorite coach in the NFL in Kyle Shanahan. So anyways, moving on from that, let's officially get into this list. So number 1, we have the LA Chargers. First of all, I hate calling this team the LA Chargers, especially for all the lifelong fans out there. But anyways, the LA Chargers were a team who started the year off horribly with a 1-4 record. But all those games were insanely close. They lost by an average of 3.5 points. And you know who they didn't have for the first 4 games? The reigning Defensive Rookie of the Year, Joey Bosa. Plus, the Chargers were massively plagued by the injury bug. Guys like Keenan Allen, who thrive when healthy, suffered a torn ACL in week 1. And as for the team, at one point, they had 19 players on IR. That's actually insane. Probably the unluckiest team in the entire NFL last season. It seems they only can improve this year. They have beefed up the offensive line with 2 pickups in the draft. They added one of the most dynamic playmakers in the draft in Mike Williams, making this offense's arsenal of weapons that more lethal. If this collection of receivers can stay healthy, you better believe Phillip Rivers will have a career year. Last year, the Chargers didn't have that dominant of an offensive unit. They ranked smack dab in the middle as far as production, and they were in the bottom third of the league in rush yards. But that is all about to change. The LA Chargers brought in new head coach Anthony Lynn, and one of his coaching philosophies is that he likes to establish the run. And with the strengthening up of this offensive line, expect Melvin Gordon to be one of the top backs in the NFL this season as far as production. I say he's a top 3 fantasy running back by the end of the year. Having Joey Bosa for a full season, not having the horrible luck with injuries, and having a high-powered offense who can grind it out and control the clock, even in the toughest division in the AFC, the Chargers will be an on-the-bubble playoff team by the end of this season. This team is a dark horse. Number 2, the Carolina Panthers. One of the biggest intangible factors in team success comes down to attitude and team atmosphere. It can lead teams to play way better than expected, or vice versa. They had the football world in the palm of their hand. But after a rough Super Bowl loss and a reality check, the Panthers had a major Super Bowl hangover. The overall attitude in the locker room completely shifted upside down, and the team underperformed because of it. There are multiple factors to why this happened. I actually talk about it in detail in one of my older videos, but that's all now in the past. Cam has something to prove once again, and he'll be coming back with much better tools to work with. Christian McCaffrey and Curtis Samuel are 2 major dynamic weapons, and they should be able to fit in somewhere into this offense. McCaffrey is going to provide a major spark, and this will take some of the pressure off of Cam's shoulders. And then one of the biggest reasons why the Panthers fell off last year was their loss of identity in the secondary. They prided themselves on it with Josh Norman in 2015, and when he left, they completely lost that fire. But now, the secondary has a bit more experience and has been revitalized with bringing in guys like Mike Adams. And then as far as the whole defense, they brought back Julius Peppers, and he can still play. Obviously, their defense can still be elite with guys like Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly leading the way. Expect to see the Panthers back in the playoffs. Number 3, the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars have been stuck in a period of darkness. They just always seem to underwhelm. Here's the thing about this team. They have quietly built this defense into a powerhouse, topping it off in the offseason with AJ Bouye from Houston and Calais Campbell from Arizona as the biggest names. Bouye was one of the highest priced commodities, and he'll now be paired up with Jalen Ramsey, who started to really show major potential by the end of last year. This rapidly improving defense is primed and ready. And then for this offense, they got the exact guy they needed to get, Leonard Fournette. With the Cowboys showing what a dominant rush attack can do for your team, the Jaguars are about to dominate time of possession. Fournette is going to completely change the identity of this offense for the better. He will take the pressure off of Bortles, making him more of a game manager, which is okay, because it's exactly what Dak Prescott was. And then D.D. Westbrook is a late round steal at receiver. making this passing tree even more deadly. And after looking at this division they're in and seeing what their upcoming schedule looks like, they will be a potential surprise in the AFC playoff picture. They do have a relatively easy schedule, and they should dictate the pace in most games this season. Fournette will be a 1,500-yard kind of guy, and this defense will finish top 10 in most categories. The Jaguars are back. And number 4, the Cleveland Browns. Go ahead and laugh and joke all you want about how bad the Browns have been, but they will not be the worst team in the league this season. Not even close. To be honest, after the offseason, including free agency and the draft, right up there with the Jaguars, the Browns are the most improved team from front to back. They paid Kevin Zeitler and JC Tretter big time, which was the best guard and center in free agency. This probably makes this O-line a top 15 unit in the league after being one of the worst units last season. Having that carousel of quarterbacks during last season was hard to get adjusted to for this offense, especially for this O-line, just based on pre-snap reads, communication, and just straight up getting reps in with a quarterback. And then alongside that, the run game will now be excellent. Hugh Jackson loves the power run, and it's part of the reason why he loves Isaiah Crowell, a true old school power one-cut kind of guy. Same thing with Melvin Gordon. Isaiah Crowell will have a big season barring injury. He is someone I feel will be undervalued in fantasy leagues. So if I were you, pick him up. Quarterbacks are still a project at best, but I'm starting to really like Kaiser for the future. He is going to be their franchise quarterback. That doesn't mean he should be the starter right away. I actually think he should sit this season, just so he can learn under Hugh Jackson and not be thrown into the fire. But as far as this season, Cody Kessler can manage this offense. With the improvement in O-line, he won't be hit as much, giving him a much better chance of staying on the field as opposed to last year being constantly hurt. Having questions at quarterback doesn't mean the team can't improve. They had their best season in 7 years in 2014. And there was questions all year at quarterback. On defense, Myles Garrett will show why he was the #1 pick. He's going to make an immediate impact. Honestly, same as Jabril. All the sheep that call themselves fans want to hate on him because a few analysts said he's not great at one position. But let's be clear here. Jabril is a natural and vocal leader who can bring out the best in his teammates. He will eventually become the identity and captain of this defense. He has all the physical tools necessary to be a force in this league. Greg Williams, the defensive coordinator, knows how to develop safeties. You know who he coached and developed? Sean Taylor. Like I said, the Browns won't be the laughingstock of the league. They will actually surprise many people over the next few seasons.